end. I'm really excited to talk to y'all about this. So today we're going to look at how I specifically go by my goal setting, and just kind of look at the tool that I use, but by no means do you have to use this tool. So that can be really helpful. And we'll just kind of walk through it step by step. But first, just like most everything, I like to look at the big picture. You know, why are we going to set goals? Like, why is this important for me to set goals when I have no idea what the heck is going to happen in the next few months, even the next few days? Like, everything's uncertain. Why should I be doing this? And that's exactly why. So uncertainty breeds doubt, and doubt is really dangerous, especially in a business. You know, that could be just a really difficult thing to overcome and difficult to really process. And so being able to set goals that helps you focus and keep track of what you're doing can really minimize that doubt. When you say, okay, I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going, whatever I can control, I'm going to focus on, and everything else will just take it as it comes. So that is one of the big reasons why I think goal setting is just as important now as ever. So what does that look like? How can you go about doing this? I'm going to take you through, like I said, the process that I use. So I use Michael Hyatt's Full Focus Planner. And honestly, for years, for whatever reason, I'm that person that just does not like to get on the hype train until it's like 3 years out station. Like, this has been around for years, and people have talked it up and recommended it to me. They're like, oh, you love goals, you love productivity, like all this stuff, like you've got to try this out. And forever, it took me forever. And then I had a client and friend, Sarah, who actually uses the product, and she had it with her one day when we were meeting, and I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing with my life? Like, I got to try this out. So that's why I use this tool, but you can use this process with any tool you want. And for the most part, it's going to be the same thing. Anytime you talk to someone about goal setting, it's essentially going through the same process with these same principles, maybe just practically displayed differently. So that's kind of what we're going to look at. And the first piece is going to be your annual goals. So it's May. You're like, okay, well, half the year's almost gone. But I really believe that goals don't have to go by our calendar year. And I honestly change my goals regularly. Like, every quarter I sit down and look at them, and my goals for this year have completely changed in small and big ways as my business has changed, as it's grown, and as I've had some clients disappear with the pandemic, and I've actually gotten some new ones. Like, really navigating the annual goals when you don't let yourself be boxed in by that calendar is really, really helpful. So you can set these goals and always change them. Don't feel like you have to wait until the new year to set new goals. So some questions that I always ask myself when looking at my annual goals is, how will this help me to reach my long-term goals? So this is my 3, 5, 10-year goals, which we won't get into today. And honestly, right now for me, a lot of those are still kind of not hunkered down, nailed down anywhere. But I know that I want to build an agency. I want to have a team of people that I get to work with to help other businesses market themselves online. Like, that is my long-term goal. And so the goals that I make every year are going to be around that idea. And until I can really get a firm grasp on what that looks like in 3, 5, 10 years, I just let that kind of be my guide. So it doesn't have to be super concrete for those, but having that mentality is really helpful. Asking yourself, what will help my business grow? So, if I invest time and money into this thing, this process, this product, this service, whatever it is that going to really help my business grow? And then the third thing I ask is, how will this help me to accomplish my mission? So my mission for Westfall Digital Strategies is to help businesses market themselves online and connect with their ideal clients. So how is the work that I'm doing and the goals that I'm setting helping me to accomplish that mission? All those kinds of things. So whether it is a sales goal, whether it is a marketing goal, whatever it is for your big picture year-long goals, that's what you want to look through, think through, and write down. So part of this is we break it down. So the goal details, this is part of the full focus planner process. And so we go through a goal summary, key motivations, next steps, and reward. And honestly, this has really helped me to get a better grasp on how to tangibly accomplish my goals. Because it's great when I say, okay, I want to hit X amount of dollars, or I want to build this kind of business. Awesome. That's really great. How in the world do I do that? I know that that's how I feel a lot of times. And I'm sure that's how you probably feel right now, is how do I take my business from where it's at to where I want it to be, especially with this pandemic? Like, very, very difficult question to answer oftentimes. And so this process really helps you to break it down into bite-sized pieces. So we're going to go through it. Be prepared. We'll go on a little bit of a roller coaster. Even as I was creating this, I was like, whew, emotional roller coaster up and then down, and then we kind of settled out. So we're going to walk through it together. But the first thing that you do is you create a summary. And so this is within this SMARTer goal framework. So we've heard of SMART goals, and those are awesome. Recently, over the last couple of years, a few kind of authorities on goal setting have taken it a step further and created these SMARTer goals. And so that's the first thing that we do. So we're going to look at this goal that I've set for my business. This is a real goal that I have that I'm really excited about, and we'll kind of walk through it. So SMARTer stands for specific, measurable, actionable, risky, time-keyed, exciting, and relevant. And so when I wrote this goal down, okay, create an effective marketing strategy and sales funnel that brings in 10 new leads every month by December 31st. So I want to create this sales funnel and this strategy by December 31st, but that doesn't mean I'm going to wait until December to make it, right? And I'm getting really specific about the number of leads I wanted to create. So it has to be a pretty effective strategy and funnel for it to bring in that many leads every month, right? Especially for having just little old me working on this. That's a decent chunk of people coming in, asking me, to help them, whatever it is. So the actionable part, that's where these colors come in, because it's helpful to kind of see how this plays out. So the action is to create. So I'm going to create this system, right? I'm going to sit down and create a system. And at the end of this, I'm going to have something tangible that I'm going to be doing. The specific thing I'm creating is a marketing strategy and sales funnel. So I can see at the end of my creation process, is that what I have? Can I get from A to B and see the path through it? And then the 10 new leads is the measurable part. I can see, okay, am I getting 10 leads every month, and going through that and pivoting and changing it, all of that kind of stuff. And then the time keyed is December 31st. So like I said, I'm giving myself to the end of this year. Some of that might change, honestly, just because things are crazy and I might extend a little bit. But having that time deadline helps me to say, okay, I want to get it done in this time. That means I have to figure out how to schedule my time to get that work done over the next few months. And then the risky part, so it's not in green, but the risk is I may not do it. Like 10 is a pretty big number. I can get maybe one lead for sure a month. And that's by going out and me asking someone, or asking someone to recommend me or give me a referral. Like I could get one lead, but 10 is pretty significant for me right now. So that's kind of risky, but exciting. That exciting piece is I could get 10 new leads. Like that would be so fun. I love getting to talk with new people, and the opportunity to get to work with new people on a project is like, oh, it makes me so excited. It's the best part of what I get to do. I feel like that, and seeing the project come to life. And then relevant. Is this relevant to my business? Is it relevant to the time that we're in? Like, is this the best use of my time? Yes, I need to create this foundational strategy and system so that as my business grows and as I bring new people on, I have a process and a funnel to keep clients coming through, all of that kind of stuff. So that's a pretty solid goal. I'll probably go back through, honestly, over the next few months as I look back on it and see if there's ways that I can make it better. Can I make it even more specific? Are there better actions or something more relevant and measurable that I can put into there? So that's the first piece of that, the summary. The next one is the key motivations. And this is something I typically like to pass over because it makes me have to kind of get real and say, why do I want to do this? Like this is something I think we should do with everything that we do with our business, but why this goal specifically? And it's really easy to breeze past this, but by identifying the key motivators for why you're doing what you're doing, not only does it keep you focused on what you're doing so that you can schedule your time well, but it helps you when things get tough to keep going. So if I'm getting really frustrated with trying to figure out how to set up this, workflow for my business to help automate some of the inquiries that come through so that people, feel like they're getting the right information they need, that it all works, and it's just not working, how am I going to remind myself, okay, this is important. It's worth me taking the time to sit down and do this. Or if I have a lot of clients with urgent needs coming through, how do I find the motivation to say, okay, I may need to work a little extra, or I might need to take that Saturday that I was originally going to take off and work on this for me. Because my clients are taking the bulk of my time during the week, as they should. Where am I going to help myself and my business to work on this project? So having that kind of key motivator is really helpful. So for me, my motivations are, it'll help me significantly reduce any anxieties I have about bringing in new clients and new revenue. If I can create a serious funnel that's effective, that's bringing in that many leads every month, I can feel confident that I'll get a regular stream of clients. And so I don't have to worry about whether or not I can afford to pay my bills or for my business or for any employees, all of that kind of stuff. It'll help to really generate some new opportunities, to market and to connect with other people. There's just a variety of things that this will help me do, but I think the biggest thing is it'll help me not to be overwhelmed. It'll help me to really understand, what is my business going to look like? Who's coming down the pipe that I can really talk to and connect with and help? And it's just an opportunity to help more clients. So that's kind of my key motivators. Again, I can kind of flesh them out some more and remind myself, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? That's a big piece that oftentimes we don't look at. And there's nothing wrong if money is your motivation. Nothing wrong with that. All right, so the next steps. This is also a really helpful thing that we can really kind of push back against. So the next steps are the 5 things that you need to do right now, or like next after creating this goal, to help get the ball rolling. So I'm a big believer that things in motion will stay in motion and things at rest will stay at rest. So if you start to move towards something and start taking action on your goals, it is so much easier to pivot and to change what you're doing than to go from 0 to 60. So for example, these webinars, this was something that in a conversation with a business mentor of mine, we were chatting and I was like, gosh, I really just enjoy talking with people and helping them to break down different concepts and like teaching. Like, it's just something that I really enjoy, and people seem to have a good response to it. They seem to be appreciative. They seem to think that it's helpful information. I would love to do that more. And he said, well, why don't you host a webinar and just, start that? There's plenty of people now, especially during the pandemic, like, go for it. And I said, okay. It was one of those things I was like, you know what, that is a great idea. And I have helpful information that people ask me these questions all the time. And so that's how this started. And it was because I started to move towards it that I'm now able to take a step back and say, okay, how can I use this webinar as part of my sales process, as a marketing tool to help people understand exactly who I am and what my business is about, so that they could trust me to serve them and to help their business grow. And so now I'm able to pivot my time and energy and create a better plan for accomplishing my goal. So this is where those next steps are really helpful. And it takes you from that really overwhelmed feeling of like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this done, to, okay, here's how I'm going to get this done. You don't have to have it all right. That's the thing with all of this. And I'm sure all of you know, in business and entrepreneurship, you don't have to have it all right and perfect from the start. You just have to get started. So this helps you get started. The next piece is your reward. And I'm dreadful at this. Like, I am a terrible celebrator. I love to celebrate a birthday party. I love a good party, but celebrating accomplishments, especially my own, is really hard for me. I just am constantly thinking forward. It's like, okay, well, we did that. Great. Let's move on. It's like, no, stopping and celebrating, especially when you've accomplished a big goal, is really important. So taking the time to write out, what am I going to do when I accomplish this goal? And it helps you to remind yourself, okay, this will be something that we get to celebrate. This is a job well done. It's something to look forward to. And it's just like a great reminder of like, all right, you're going to stay focused. Let's get down to business. So taking the time to write that out and keep that in mind is important, but it has to be something, one, that you're willing to say no to. So if you don't accomplish this goal, you don't get the reward. And two, it has to be something you actually care about. So if it's just going to be a dance party, like, you can have a dance party anytime. I highly recommend them. But I don't get a mani-pedi all the time. So when I hit my goal, I'm going to go treat myself to a mani-pedi. And it doesn't have to be something extravagant. You know, it doesn't have to cost $100 million. It could be a $30 pedicure and manicure. Although if you can find one of those in the city, let me know. So having that mindset of we're going to celebrate this really helps you to keep that positive perspective and to do that celebration at the end. Because you did the work, you might as well celebrate. Okay, so that is our annual goals. I know that's a lot. Let's jump into the monthly, and this is where that emotional roller coaster is about to go up. So it'll be really fun though, don't worry. This is my list, not yours. So the next thing that you do is break down those 5 steps or more into your monthly goals. So for me, for example, creating that funnel and that strategy, I'm like, okay, I know kind of what I'm doing. I have a framework. I need to start to flesh it out a little bit. And so for me, that looks like creating a landing page for these mini sessions, creating a content calendar and updating my email marketing strategy and social media strategy, and then, you know, updating my website, going through and connecting all of these different platforms into this funnel so that when people click, you know, this link over here, it takes them to where I want them to go and where they're expecting to go. Which I feel a lot like Rachel Green on that screen when I wrote this out. Even this morning as I was going back through it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. And so writing it out is really important. And from here, I can take each of these pieces, each of these goals, and create them into actual monthly goals. So, right, like here, May, June, July. Okay, 3 months, I can get all this done. And I feel a lot more like that other lady in that GIF, a lot more zen, a lot more on that downward slope from that kind of roller coaster of like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. Because, you know, this is just for my business and this one project. This has nothing to do with any of the other things I have to do or any of my client work. Like, this can be very overwhelming. And so if that's you, if you feel like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all this? This is how you do it. You break it down. You say, how long do I realistically think it's going to take me to do all this work? Keeping in mind all your other obligations, and break it out into months. And if that means it's going to take longer than you'd like, then maybe that means you need to hire out some help, or maybe that means it's just going to take longer, and that's okay. But going through and picking what's going to be most important, what you need to get done first, and then what you can get done first is really helpful in creating that priority list, and then putting them into months is ideal. So that's how I approach those monthly goals. Next, this is the game changer for me. We're going to talk about the weekly preview. So we can do these really big picture goals, annual, monthly. Okay, I know what I need to do this year and what I need to do this month. What do I need to do this week? Like, what do I have to get done this week to get my projects accomplished? And so what I really love that Michael Hyatt says is what gets scheduled gets done. And I'm living proof of that, because there are so many things that I want to get done that when I don't schedule them into my day, they don't happen. Like a workout. I mean, there's plenty of reasons I haven't worked out during COVID, but most of it's because I don't put it on my schedule. And so same with any kind of project that you have. If you don't schedule it into your week and into your days, it's not going to get done. And if you have some superpower to do that, even when you don't schedule it, props to you. So we're going to kind of talk through how I do this. And so I do this weekly preview. I do it on Sunday evenings, and I typically do just like a quiet space. Sometimes it'll be after dinner when I'm just kind of winding down and trying to think through the week, and I'll open up my task manager and my email and just see, okay, what is going on with my week ahead, and I go through this process. So this is where I deviate a little bit from the full focus planner system, and I use my own. Step 1 is you're going to do a brain dump. You are going to dump out everything that's rolling around in your head onto a piece of paper. Now, my list looks long, but It's normally much longer. I just didn't want to cover an entire page with all this work. And so everything from your clients to your business, to your personal obligations, to your workouts, to your meal plans, whatever you need to do this week, put it on a piece of paper. It can be in a planner, it can be on a piece of scrap paper, it can be a beautiful bullet journal. Whatever works for you, dump it out and look at it so that you can visually see what you have to accomplish that week. This is where, again, that spike happens. You're like, that is a lot to do. But don't worry, the next steps help you to walk through it. So the next step that I go through is I then prioritize all of these tasks. And I like to color code things. And so I take these little pens that I have and I just write them out. I do, urgent, important, not urgent, and then not urgent. Really just means high priority, middle priority, low priority. And it typically goes along with what has a time deadline and what can I kind of push around and be a little bit more flexible with. So I go through, I prioritize all of them, and I try to keep it from 3 to 5 tasks per color, just because anything more than that typically means that I can't accomplish it in that week. So that's the second step there. Then I go back again to that same page and I assign different days of the week to them. So I typically try to keep my work week between Monday and Friday, and I only work on client work during the week, and then sometimes Saturday will be like my extra day to do extra things for my business. But I try to schedule it all in that time. And so I go through Monday through Friday and I say, okay, this is what I'm doing Monday, this is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even including like your meetings or anything that you already have to do this week included on there, and that automatically gets a day. So going through and doing that helps you to see visually what you're going to do day to day. And then from there, I go through, and in the journal that I use, it has this little table that breaks it down, and I just write them out in the order that they should be in. So what I need to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and sometimes Saturday, and I go through and I write them out. And it has been the most helpful thing for me because I can look at it and I can say, okay, that's my week. I know exactly what I'm going to do this week. And sometimes things shift. This week I had a client where something happened on Tuesday morning and all my plans had to go out the window because we had to fix this problem. And I just said, all right, we're going to shift it. And so by creating margin in your day and being able to look at it, you can really see week to week, okay, where do I have extra space? Where can I move things around? What can I kind of put together? And so being able to do that is really, really important. Also, my dog and my roommate might come in a minute. Let me turn off my camera. Sorry, guys. Yeah, well, we'll see how it happens. So we'll move this way. So going through and doing that is really helpful. And things like knowing if you have to do a lot of creative work is really important. Because for me, I know that if I have to create a lot of content, I can't do that all in one day. I have to do one client one day and another client the other day. Otherwise, my brain will turn to mush and we will all be sad. So I schedule that out intentionally. So going through prioritizing that is really helpful. And then the last piece here, because I do want to allow some time for questions, is the daily pages. So I take all that stuff I did for that weekly preview and I let that guide me as I do my daily pages. And so I normally do these the night before, but some people like to do them the day before, whatever it is. It's, again, doesn't have to be this planner. You can just write them on a piece of paper if you want. But I go through and I pick the top 3 things I need to do that day, which typically are already listed from my weekly preview, and I write them down and then I schedule them. I literally put them into my day and I say, okay, from this time to this time, I'm working on this. From this time to this time, I'm working on this. And the nice thing is, as I've gone on, I can really understand how long it'll take me to work and do different work for my clients. So I know, okay, this project's going to take me 4 hours. This one's going to only take me about an hour. How can I schedule that in? Schedule it around meetings or other things that have time deadlines. All of that, going through and doing that is really, really helpful. So that's why I really like these pages and this planner specifically. But again, you can just do this on a piece of paper, super simple, super easy. All right, so I know that was a lot. Like I said, we kind of went on this roller coaster of a lot to do, and then we kind of leveled it out. But going through and being able to take your annual goals and chunk them down into smaller pieces until you get to a point where you can say, okay, these are the things I need to do this week, this day. I'm going to go do that. So if there's things like I need to write the copy for a landing page, I'm going to do them on this day. If I need to actually set up the landing page, I'm going to do it on this day. All of that kind of content goes into planning all this out. And then all of a sudden, a year later or 6 months later, you have your goal. It's been reached. So that's been really, really cool for me to see. All right, so action steps for you, because I know that this was a lot. Some things that I think are really helpful specifically for this time is to ask these questions as you rethink your goals. So ask yourself, what's changed about your business? Have you moved online in a different and new way that you need to really think through and capitalize on? What are your top 3 priorities for your business between now and December 31st? Do you have to earn more money or hire, downsize, restructure? What are the top 3 things that you know that you need to do for your business between now and the end of the year? And then from those 3 priorities, create 3 goals using that smarter outline and use that to go through the process. And then another thing I think that's really helpful is to list 10 different ways that you can celebrate reaching your goals. So list them out, and then you just pick 3 to go with the 3 goals that you have, and keep that list so the next time you make goals, you can pick from that list the different things that you're going to do to celebrate. And then the last thing is ask who your support system is. Who can you share these goals with and help hold you accountable? So I really have found that to be super helpful. I have the joy of being a member of Hera Hub DC, which I'm sure most of you know about, but if you don't, definitely check it out. It has been super helpful to be connected with other entrepreneurs who understand what I'm doing, why things happen. Like, they get it because they also are business owners. And so having a support system of people who understand, who you can trust, and who really want to see you succeed is vital to accomplishing your goals. So definitely look for ways to connect with others. And again, go through these questions as best you can, and really take the time to think through them. All right, so I know we're at the end. I want to open it up for questions and answers. Oh, Denise, I'm so glad you found this so helpful. This is awesome. So any other questions? If not, that's totally fine. Something that I am going to do for you all when you get the follow-up email is I'm including the worksheet with those 5 questions, so you can actually print it out or put it in online and work through them. So you'll have them there, so you don't have to worry about trying to find it in this PowerPoint, but you'll have that as well. So I'm glad you guys were all able to make it. I'm so glad that we ended close to on time. This would be great. Denise, I love that idea. Do a class on this at Hera Hub. That's awesome. Oh, you're so welcome, Elizabeth. I'm glad that you found this helpful. I love this. Awesome. All right, cool. Well, if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to, shoot them my way. If you have something specific, or, something that I like to remind people is that you do get a free 30-minute consultation with me. We can do Zoom or just a phone call, and I'm happy to just even walk through your goals with you and talk some of these things out. Sometimes that can be really, really helpful. I know that I do that with my mom all the time, and she's brilliant. She owns Hera Hub, for anyone who does not know. So I am a little biased, but sometimes just sitting down and talking with her has been the best way for me to figure out, okay, what do I really want to do and where am I going? So, if you can connect with my mom, Julia Westfall, she's certainly helped me. So yeah, Lori, she is fabulous. It's incredible. I'm a very, very lucky gal. So you'll get that follow-up email from me with that worksheet and a recording of this of this webinar and the slides. And then next week, we're going to talk about 3 creative ways to connect with your clients post-pandemic. So if you're trying to find ways to reconnect or connect with new clients, join me back here next week. We'll go through some fun ways you can do that. And I'm just so thankful that you guys showed up. So thank you so much for being here. And again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will see you guys next week.